So then guys, what is going on here? What have you done? Oh, you are already dismounting it from the jacks, that's great. And you also painted this patch here, looks nice. And what about the inside? Oh, would you look at that, you have finished the floor under the driver's leg space. You work so fast. So this means that we will have much more room to push the pedals and the ergonomics of the driver's side will improve significantly. And it's easy to see the difference between how it was and how it is now. You said you finished it yesterday at night. You are crazy fast. It seems like we can drive it in this episode. I definitely like the pace we got. In the future, the whole body will be rebuilt almost from scratch, and we are planning to move this wheel arch a little bit so there is more space to get in and out of the car, because now this huge bump interferes with our feet and makes evacuation from this car a little bit inconvenient. The next step will be a test fit of the pedal assembly, and even more, we need to address the missing wiper assembly, because it's outmanned now and it will be simply impossible to drive it without any wipers. A small but extremely important upgrade. The accelerator pedal had no return spring on it and it's too heavy for the new carburetor we installed. I came up with a solution, found such a spring and it fits on the pedal axle like a glove. I have made a tiny hole in the mounting bracket, so the other end of the spring is holding here, and here it is. The pedal is spring-loaded. It will compensate for the weight of the pedal and give us more control over the throttle. I'm thrilled when some random parts I come across in the garage fit together. An unexpected thing happened. The float in the carburetor stuck in the lowest position, and when I was pumping fuel, I didn't notice that it filled the intake and the combustion chambers as a result. That's not good because we can't get hydrolock. To prevent this, I need to dry out the combustion chambers by removing the spark plugs. Also, it's very important not to smoke around these fountains of fuel. The final tuning of this reconstructed handmade low gear and rear drive lever. From the top there is a spring that pulls the lever up. This big washer acts as a spring retainer and a dust cover while it can move freely on the top surface here. I don't actually know how it's supposed to look, but I think I did a great job. After this, the lever assembly is ready to be installed in its place, so I'm applying RTV and I'm planning to additionally use a DIY gasket here just in case I need quick access here. This way I won't be dealing with RTV remnants. So I bought a new filter and these huge off-road rear-view mirrors. I like big mirrors on such a car, they make it look more like a truck. And they are foldable, nice. Also, we need an exhaust flex pipe. This one looks really good and beefy, made out of stainless steel. For the rear axle engagement shaft I'm leaving this stock spring, but for the low range gear I'm using a smaller one because I want it to toggle easier, not like it was before. And here it is, such easy shifting, I definitely like it. And now rear axle engagement, a beautiful feeling. Shifting feels really tight, I think it's impossible to shift it accidentally. Low range shifts perfectly as well. However, in case you didn't know, the gear order is flipped vertically on this car. First gear, second, third. Okay, I need to get used to it. It would be sad to shift from fourth to first while running. The reverse gear engages this way. The additional spring makes it harder, which is good. It's about time to add some brand new fresh oil to the gearbox. I bought the cheapest one, just for the first couple of 100 kilometers, then it should be changed to something better. A small portion, about 75 grams, goes into the portal hubs. And look at these upgraded ball joints. The car hasn't even been driven yet, but these O-rings are already perishing. The quality is quite bad. Someone had botched an unknown wiper assembly here, so I need to make it work properly. Originally, this linkage assembly couldn't cover the entire windshield. Because the levers were designed for different windshield geometry and size, we decided to play with the length of the levers a little to find the best wiping range for the driver and passenger wipers. And we managed to find a sweet spot. Also, the system here is quite simple, but there is no controller. It's possible to connect only one wire from the column stalks, but we need a little more comfort, so I came up with an idea on how to implement an automatic self-returning scheme. I just need a regular relay because there is a contact disc on the motor, so I'm supplying power to the motor. Then electricity goes to the relay and engages it. Then the relay keeps the motor on until the contact disc breaks the power to both the relay and the motor. It may sound complicated, but it's really easy. Now it is sufficient to just give it a small impulse and the assembly makes a full swing and returns to the home position. On one hand, this dashboard we inherited with the car looks curious and bizarre. It's too square, and additionally, when we raised the steering shaft, it doesn't fit here nicely. However, on the other hand, we can find some ideas on how to fit it here nicely, and its huge real glass front makes us think about it. But we decided to try other ideas, and we found such a nice round speedometer from a truck. It can be fitted here quite nicely, and it's so big and easy to read. Of course, it should be mounted here nicely. We need to play with the shapes and then wrap this unit in leather or alcantara or whatever. Guys, I don't know. I think I like both. This one we could modify electronically by using LCD displays and microcontrollers. Let's put it back in place. Nah, I like this one more. Let's stick with it. The header gaskets no longer exist, they are not available anymore, so I need to improvise. I found these exhaust gaskets, so I'm going to cut them into pieces, and it should work. The windshield wiper issues are solved. Everything works more or less properly. Of course, it could be better, but for a custom solution, it is acceptable. We managed to tune the lever length ratio so it covers most of the driver's side of the windshield. Also, we had to extend the length of the left wiper arm, so it has a bigger radius. Let's make the windshield wet. And don't pay attention to the quality of cleaning, these rubbers are shut. It is important to notice the area of cleaning. Then we finished connecting all the necessary cables to the carburetor. Now we can control both throttle and choke from the inside. So much has been done here. The clutch system and brakes were bled, all the cables and wires were connected. It seems like everything is ready for the first drive. Let's start this beast. The ignition is on, the choke is slightly closed, and start. Great, it started right up. Considering it's cold and the revs are high, it sounds quite good. I don't know about other people, but I could listen to this sound all the time because, hey, it's an air-cooled V4. It has its own character. In the fading twilight, we are ready to take our first steps. And now let's try the reverse gear. That's great. How does it feel? Tell me immediately. Hey, we did it. The worst part is behind us. Damn. We thought we would finish it in 2 weeks. Just add some oil and that's it. We always underestimate the work involved, but that's okay, because you saw how neglected it was. Well, it's been a week since we started it, so let's see. So that was its first drive. We were genuinely happy, but it's almost impossible to hear anything because it's just a metal box with no sound deadening. There are a lot of holes here and there, and the exhaust simply doesn't exist. The suspension tries to launch itself in every direction. It may seem like nothing, but it meant the world to us. So much time has been spent on this car trying to bring it back to life, and we succeeded. The main problem was stalling. It was clear that there is a problem with the carburetor. It has no torque on low revs, but it starts pulling on higher revs. However, it wakes up when I pump the pedal a few times, so the jet that works with the off-idle transition needs to be replaced. What about the suspension? It's really hard to understand since it's so neglected and botched, but it's an unfamiliar feeling comparing to the regular sedans I have owned. The most important thing here is the emotions we experienced with my father. A few months ago, we towed a piece of rust. We weren't even sure it wouldn't lose its wheels during those 7 kilometers. And now it is possible to start and drive it short distances. It's definitely a success. Keep following along, there is plenty more to come, and that's the way the piston turns.